What if one of America's biggest challenges today actually began over 400 years ago? Despite being one of the world's most powerful democracies, the United States continues to debate issues like racial inequality, wealth disparities, voting rights, and social justice. Many historians trace these issues back to one defining chapter in American history: slavery. But how can a system abolished more than 160 years ago still influence modern America? Let's explore the history, the facts, and the lasting impact. In 1619, the first enslaved Africans arrived in the English colony of Virginia. Over the next 2 centuries, millions of Africans were forcibly brought to America through the transatlantic slave trade. They worked on plantations, producing tobacco, cotton, sugar, and other crops that helped build the American economy. Enslaved people had no legal rights. Families were separated. Education was forbidden in many places, and generations lived without freedom. While America's founding documents declared that all men are created equal, slavery remained legal for decades, creating a contradiction that shaped the nation's future. The Civil War and Reconstruction. By the mid-1800s, the country was deeply divided over slavery. In 1861, the Civil War began. After 4 devastating years, the Union won, and slavery was officially abolished in 1865 through the 13th Amendment. For millions of formerly enslaved people, freedom had finally arrived. But freedom didn't automatically bring opportunity. Many lacked land, education, employment, and political protection. The Reconstruction era attempted to rebuild the South and expand civil rights, but many reforms were short-lived. Jim Crow and segregation. After Reconstruction ended, many Southern states introduced laws known as Jim Crow laws. These laws enforced racial segregation for decades. Black Americans were separated from white Americans in schools, transportation, restaurants, hospitals, and public facilities. Voting restrictions prevented many black citizens from participating in elections. Violence and intimidation were often used to maintain racial inequality. Although slavery had ended, discrimination remained deeply embedded in American society. The Civil Rights Movement. Everything began to change during the 1950s and 1960s. Millions of Americans demanded equal rights through peaceful protests, court battles, and grassroots activism. The Civil Rights Movement led to landmark legislation that ended legal segregation and strengthened voting rights. These reforms transformed American society. However, many scholars argue that while legal equality improved significantly, economic and social inequalities continued to persist. Today, the United States has made enormous progress since the era of slavery and segregation. Yet debates continue over issues such as the racial wealth gap, education, criminal justice, housing, and voting access. Some experts argue that these challenges are rooted in historical policies and discrimination. Others believe today's inequalities are influenced by a broader mix of economic, cultural, and social factors. Regardless of perspective, understanding this history helps explain why these conversations remain central to American politics and society. History doesn't just tell us where we've been, it helps us understand where we're going. If you found this video informative, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.